Hello and welcome to Fran Carter Wellness. As you know, or you may not know, my name is Fran Carter. I live in Northern Alberta, Canada, in a community that is really close-knit, but at the same time, everyone respects the privacy of the neighbor. So it's a farming community, which is familiar to me because that's what I was raised in. I want to share with you a little bit about my experiences since moving to this area, this part of the world. I worked, I guess, many years with the federal correction system here in Canada, which over the years have led to a lot of injuries, shoulder repair, my rotator cuff. My right knee was repaired twice, my ACL and MCL. My left knee was just recently repaired, just this past December. So I have spent a lot of time in recovery mode, and in doing so and having all of these injuries to deal with, I basically allowed myself to eat whatever I want, have, I guess, unhealthy choices and be okay with it. In the long run, long story short, I have gained a lot of weight as a result of sitting on my butt and not moving and not being active like I used to be with my old work. So that led me to, I guess, my search for a quick fix. And after approximately a year or so of researching and looking and reading up stories, listening to other, I guess, testimonies, my solution was bariatric surgery. And that encompasses a whole lot of things. It could be as simple as, oh, it's not even simple. It's any surgery is major and it's a big deal. But one of the options would have been liposuction, and in the form of, say, a mummy makeover, only dealing with my midsection, not worrying about the rest. Another option that I have been kind of studying, because I do actually have friends who've gone through this, is the bariatric surgery, which can either be a gastric sleeve, where they literally slice a portion of your stomach out and pull it away, or get rid of it. I don't know how it really works. And then the other option is gastric bypass. So what that does is it doesn't cut away the actual part of your stomach, but it's like a lap band. When you hear lap band surgery, that's basically what a gastric bypass is, where the doctors will go in and they will suction or portion off a part of your stomach so that you have less room to fill when you're eating. Now, there have been pros and cons with, I guess, all of the research. One of the really good things that I learned about having a gastric sleeve or a gastric bypass is that for people who are extremely obese and who are also a diabetic, type 2 diabetes, then having a gastric sleeve or a gastric bypass actually improves their condition when it comes to the diabetes. It removes the part of the stomach that controls your cravings and your sense of fullness. So whereas a normal healthy fit person would have, even going out, have a 6-ounce steak and whatever vegetables or potatoes or rice, and that would be okay. But say you have that same steak at home and there's another steak sitting beside it, you feel like it's there, you don't want to let it go to waste, so you're going to eat it. What the bypass does is there are certain chemicals in your stomach that allow you to feel that, give you that sensation that you've had enough, you're full, you can't take another bite. And when they remove that part of your stomach, it enabling your stomach not to have those cravings anymore. So that was the amazing thing that I thought bypass surgery could offer, especially for those who are extremely overweight and are having to deal with diabetes on top of their other conditions that they're dealing with. Personally, what I was dealing with was my joints. My shoulder repair was, basically because of the crazy work that I used to do and having to physically restrain people. Over the years, it really does add up. The knees, same thing, ignoring small injuries, things I should have had looked at a long time ago, but because of the situation I was in and not having the time off, going home, being a mom, and then going straight back to work, just not having the option to really take care of myself. My knees, my joints have really, really suffered, and I have paid the price. And like I said, I explained before, it was basically my excuse to eat as much junk food, to eat as much takeout and processed food as I possibly could, resulting in this massive weight gain for me. Now, that's one thing. What I've recently done is February 7th, 2020, which was not too long ago, I started a 16-week challenge. I reconnected with a few of my friends who are very, very conscious when it comes to and aware of what they're putting into their bodies and daily movement. So I committed for the next 16 weeks, and actually I've made this commitment for the rest of my life, but this is an actually timed challenge where I'm documenting everything I do physically and literally everything I put into my body. My hope is to get rid of as many pounds as I can by putting proper nutrition into my body, but to tone and maintain a healthy weight by losing the soft, squishy belly that I have right now, and by taking the excess weight so that I can walk farther. I could eventually start running again. And part of the research that I did with all of the women, actually it was all women, I know men go through this surgery as well, but the people I connected with were 100% women. So some of the cons that came with the bariatric surgery was the fact that I could do the pre-diet, the pre-surgery diet. I had no problem doing that because I practiced at home for 3 or 4 days at a time. But you need to do this for 2 to 3 weeks before your surgery actually takes place. And then you need to carry on that same type of diet for anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks after, and then slowly introduce solid, soft, extremely soft foods, like maybe a protein shake or liquefied, pureed kind of foods. And then slowly, because your stomach has gone from being this big to being this big, and you don't want to introduce solid foods quickly. So you want it to be 100% liquids for the first 2 weeks, and then slowly introduce cream soups with no bulk in them that are strained, soft, all soft food. And I thought, that's a major change, and I know that I could probably do it. But then I watched another video of a woman who basically put it into perspective, and she had on her table the little medicine measuring cups that you get with your say cough syrup. So go and get some cough syrup. It usually comes with a tiny little plastic cup. And when I saw the amount of cups that she had to drink within an hour, and you have to take tiny, tiny sips. You can't swallow hard. It has to be tiny sips. Otherwise, you feel this it almost feels like it's stuck. Whatever you're drinking is stuck in your throat, causes ridiculous heartburn. And I get heartburn already. I don't have a gallbladder. Um, and I can't even imagine having any more heartburn than I already have. So when I saw that you're basically for the rest of your life, you're going to have tiny, tiny little sips, and where I can literally, this is my water bottle. I just filled it up before I pressed play, and this was one drink. I could literally have this whole water bottle down in 2 or 3 drinks, because that's how much I love to hydrate my body. That's the one good thing about me, is I don't have a problem with drinking water, and I'm not addicted to fizzy, bubbly, carbonated soft drinks. So every once in a while I'll crave, we have a brand here in Canada called Bubbly, and it's just carbonated water. Some have a flavor. There's grapefruit, lime, I believe there's strawberry and orange. There's absolutely no color or no dyes. It's just carbonated water with a little bit of flavor. So every once in a while I enjoy one of those. I put it in a fancy glass and I pretend I'm having, champagne or a glass of wine or something with some fizz, or what is that? Champagne or sparkling water that everybody drinks. I don't buy it here, but I know the girls always want to have a sip of that. It's like drinking bubbly champagne. But back to my measuring cup analogy, was when I watched this woman with all of these cups that she had to drink throughout the hour, and she actually drank with a measuring cup like this. She drank it in 3 sips before she could get that much down. I don't think I could ever do that. So as far as my research for bariatric surgery and different weight loss techniques goes, that has been wiped off the slate. I will not put myself through that kind of ordeal, because I don't think that I could ever give up my big gulps of water and downing a great big water bottle like this, especially on a super hot day. And I know in Canada we don't get a lot of super long periods of hot spells, but it does get warm. And I just I can't see myself not being able to enjoy a gigantic water bottle like this as fast as I want, and have to sip and be so careful that I can't over indulge in even something as simple as water. So that's off the table for me. So, which brings me back to my 16-week challenge, and doing more research about proper nutrition mixed with intermittent fasting. And when you do the intermittent fasting, it's almost like where you take your dinner, have that's your last meal of the day, you drink some water, and you don't start eating until, if you can envision skipping breakfast and just, or sleeping in, and you don't actually eat until 1 in the afternoon the next day. That is typically what intermittent fasting is, except it's calculated, it's well thought out. You're being very conscious and aware of the foods that you're putting into your body, and you're staying away from the high carbs, the snacky snacks like chips or bread. Peas, carrots, and corn are a no-no for the first 3 months, just because they have on the glycemic index, they have a lot of natural sugar in those 3 vegetables, that it's just easier to stay away from them and omit them from your diet for, say, the first 90 days. Just until, and then what happens with that is your cravings for sugar starts to decrease, and you'll find that you don't crave the sugary soda fountain drinks anymore, that eating an orange is good enough. Eating, the sweetness from a natural banana or some strawberries. I'm so addicted to blueberries, frozen blueberries, that I get And oh, they're so good. That is my special treat that I allow myself. And so for the next 16 weeks, I'm going to be posting weekly videos, update videos, and I will attach in the videos my before shots that I took a few days ago, and it was so disgusting. Like, I used to be so fit, so in shape, but now just sitting there, you can see I can literally grab handfuls from my waist area, my midsection, and that's not good. That's, for me, that's just not something I'm comfortable with, and I'm willing to do the work to walk it off. I literally go for a 4-mile walk every day since I started doing this. Actually, since the end of January, I began walking, and for the past almost 5 days now, I have walked 4 miles every day. It doesn't matter how cold and blustery the wind is. I just wrap myself up. I just get my jacket on, put on a scarf, and bundle myself up, and I start walking. The only problem I see in the future for me where I live is when it starts to thaw out and the frost comes out of the ground. We live in the country, like farmland. So our roads are gravel, and even with the gravel on the roads, it's not enough to walk in the spring. Otherwise, you put on your mud boots and you start walking, and your boots are normally this big. They end up being that big because you're walking around with mud stuck to your boots. So I'll figure something out for when it starts to warm up. But at this point in time right now, it's still nice and frozen. The days are starting to warm up, get longer. We're getting sunshine, and I'm just going to keep walking. And I will continue to walk my 4 miles every day for the next 16 weeks. The only, I guess, consideration I'll have to figure out is what I'm going to do to get up. 4 miles is literally 10,000 steps, depending on how big your step is as you walk. You get your 10,000 steps. I got this for Christmas, and it tells me how much I've walked. And even after walking my 4 miles, it encourages me to move 250 steps every hour for a certain number of hours during the day. So on the days that I can't walk because it's totally raining and muddy, and I have a little trampoline, so that is, I can start running and putting more weight on my knees, and I'll bring that in. It's just a little baby mini one, but I will be putting my progress videos and pictures up throughout the entire 16 weeks. So I invite you to join me, follow me along, and ask me as many questions as you want, because I will find the answers for you. And fitness is new to me. Fitness before I got injured was a part of my everyday. Every day we were doing something physical. If we weren't responding to a panic alarm, if we weren't restraining someone, there was something going on every single shift that I worked. And so it was very, very easy to stay in shape back then. Now, not so much. So I'm having to train my brain, train my body to get back into that mindset of healthy, active, and worth the effort. Because I want to be here to enjoy my grandchildren. I want to be a great grandma. I want to live and enjoy life without complaining about the aches and pains, and without having to lug along an extra 50 pounds on my body, unnecessary weight. So join me for the next 16 weeks, and I'll be posting my weekly updates. And for those of you who have questions or maybe want to join me and find out what I'm doing and what I'm putting into my body, I invite you to do that as well. I'm going to put a few links beneath the video, and you can connect to all of those links. And should you want to join me on this challenge, I welcome you to. And if you want to follow me along and kind of sit on the sidelines until you're ready, I welcome you to do that as well. But in the meantime, I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I wish you good health and the most blessed life that you could possibly have. And remember that whatever you do, whatever you say to yourself, whatever you affirm becomes your reality. So if you're telling yourself that you're not worth it, you're overweight, you're fat, that is what your conscious is going to believe. That is what you are going to tell yourself over and over again, and you're going to believe that to the point where somebody gives you a compliment and you're not going to accept it because your subconscious tells you different. So if you want homework without having to commit to a 16-week challenge like I did, let this be your homework for the next even 7 days. 21 days, it says that a continued habit, continued action for 21 days becomes a habit, whether it's good or bad. So I know I've got a lot of bad habits, but I'm also being conscious of the good that I'm doing. So for those of you watching, I'm giving you let's say a 21-day challenge to wake up, and the first thing that you think about is, I'm not going to tell you what to think about, but make it be good. Instead of waking up and saying, oh my gosh, my sciatic nerve is killing me today, just say, oh, flip it around. I will not put those words in your mouth. You have to figure them out yourself. But the more you do it, and if you can do it consistently for 21 days, you will shift. Your mind will shift, your body will shift, your attitude will shift, and things will start to change for the better. So with that, I want to thank you all for watching, and I invite you to jump on board with me next Monday night, and we will do this all over again. In the comments, if you have questions, comment below what your questions are, if you have any, and I will add those to next week's broadcast. So thank you so much for jumping on board, and I am wishing you a wonderful rest of the day. From Northern Alberta, Canada, it's Fran Carter signing off. Bye-bye.